Welcome back, Zwifters, and congratulations. You've officially run out of flat roads to hide on. We're in the big smoke of New York City with everything Bagel for race 2, and after our beach holiday that was round 1, we've finally found some of that missing elevation. We'll break down the course, pick apart the segments, plot your strategy, debate bike choice, and suggest a few workouts that might just keep you upright by the end. So clip in, Zwifters.
And here we go.
This week's race is everything Bagel. 1 lap, 34.3 kilometers of distance and 540 meters of climbing. You'll be chasing foul and FTS points on 4 segments. The New York Reverse KOM, the New York Reverse Sprint, the New York Forward KOM, and the New York Forward Sprint. As for power-ups, we get the Feather, the Aero Boost, and the Anvil allocated evenly at random. Let's run it from start to finish. This start is brutal, with a very short section of rollers before hitting the New York Reverse KOM. That's right, the first KOM is about 3 kilometers after the start of this race, so you'd better have your ducks in a row. But there is a short bump 400 meters into this course, which will give you a chance to wake the legs up. Seriously, New York routes, if they aren't going up, they're going down. Turning right onto the sky bridge, the road goes skyward, but keep your powder dry. The KOM segment hasn't started yet. This section stretches from 2.4 kilometers until 2.7, where the road flattens and bends right, finally delivering you to the start of the KOM segment at the 2.9k mark. With the gradient tickling 8%, your first recovery section arrives at 3.3. It's painfully short though, as the road tilts again at 100 meters later. The gradient touches 10% during this second part of the climb. Another short reprieve arrives at 3.6 before the final part of the climb begins to kick in at about 3.7. This part of the climb is the worst, with the gradient gauge tapping 15%. There is a long false flat to the finish after the gradient calms down, so don't let up until you cross the banner at the 4k mark. Phew, climb 1 done. Look out for the little kick at the 6k mark, so keep your cadence high. A nice flat section from 6 to 6.7 will allow you to settle back into a rhythm before lifting into a false flat for another 800 meters. Some more rollers and another small kick at 8.5 mark for 250 meters before eventually leaving the sky bridges at the 9.5k mark. Back on the tarmac and expect more rollers and false flats like the one at the 10.1k mark. This false flat will have you searching for more watts for another 1 kilometer with a short recovery point midway. Back into the rollers, and all eyes should now be on the first sprint segment coming up shortly, but not before another short kick at the 12.9k mark for about 300 meters. The sprint beacon comes right after this at the 13.2k mark, and it's mercifully short and downhill. The race will return to a more manageable pace after this point as it negotiates the rollers New York is known for. Reaching the 15.4k mark, there is another short punch for 400 meters up to the banner for the Central Park Loop. There is a short descent to look forward to, beginning at the 17k mark. This will take you through to the 18.6k mark before turning right onto the sky bridge at 18.9. Another short climb will have you out of your seat from 19 kilometers through to 19.8 with the gradient touching 9.2%. Suck in the big breaths on the shallow descent as you come into another pinch at 20.2. Another deceptive descent, false flat section will keep everyone honest for a while until the 21.7k mark. Carry this speed into the punch at 22. The second KOM is not far away now. Recover and regroup on this slight descent. At 24.2, the road turns left and you guessed it, into the second KOM. You'll pass the beacon at 24.4. Like before, you can break this effort up into 3 segments. The first recovery point is at 24.6, before the second part of the climb arrives 100 meters later. Reaching 17%, this is the longest part of the climb, with the second recovery point arriving at 25.2. It precedes a false flap which will drain every spare watt you have left over the next 300 meters. Congratulations, you have reached the final part of the second climb. Again, the gradient will reach 15%, but I find it's best not to look at it. The KOM banner is just up the road. Push over the top and relish in the realization that there is less than 8Ks left to go at this point. Recover on the descent as you approach the second sprint segment of this race, only 200 meters after exiting the sky bridge and turning right. It's 230 meters long and mostly downhill with a slight kick at the end. The undulation returns before another draggy climb at 29 k's. Another bump at 30.3 and you'll have just under 4 k's left. The road turns right at 31.5k mark and again at 31.9, and with the final false flat at 32.4, it's time to put your game face on for the finish because it's downhill from here. Segment strategy. Where do we start? There is so much in this course that there are any number of possibilities. With that KOM so close to the start, warm-up is going to be key. Failure to do this properly and your legs and your head may very well explode. Remember, foul is still king in ZRL, so do everything you can, pull out every trick you know to stay with that front group up and over that first KOM. If you can do this, the subsequent foul points on offer will be substantial. New York Reverse KOM. Distance 1.1 kilometers, average grade 5.7%. The New York Reverse KOM is shorter than its ugly sister, but what it lacks in length, it makes up for in width. Much like the forward KOM, the front group contending this segment will be at their freshest at this point in the race, so expect some watt bombs. And like the New York forward KOM, this one can also be broken down into 3 stages. The first recovery point comes at 400 meters and is about 100 meters long. The second recovery point comes at the 700 meter point, but it's much shorter. The only other difference is the long drag at the top with that false flat draining whatever energy you still have left in your poor legs. Power up strategy. The feather. Hopefully you have this coming into the segment. I would hold this until the last section of this climb, which is arguably the steepest. It'll run out more quickly than you would like, but it will give you a bit of a push, and that might be enough to solidify your position in the group as you reach the banner. If you have the aero, leave this until you are about 100 meters from the finish. It will help on that false flap and it might allow you to bridge that gap if you're getting dropped, or to break away and super tuck into the downhill. If you have the anvil, fire this right as you cross the finish arch. It's 15 seconds long and it might just be enough left for you to go into the downhill. Extra points if you can put an effort in here to reach the front so you can get an early super tuck. New York sprint distance 140 meters, average gradient minus 4.7%. Looking at a sprint like this, you might be forgiven for thinking that this is the best sprint segment ever. No, it's not. It's a deceptive little bastard. Why? Because the start of this sprint isn't the beacon, it's about 250 meters before then. The winner is the rider who passes the beacon first. At only 140 meters in length and an average downhill gradient of nearly 5%, trying to get over the top of someone going full gas before the finish is next to impossible. Now, I'm not going to say it can't be done, but yeah, I'm saying it can't be done. And if you can do it, I want to see the video. The real sprint begins at the 12.9k mark at the start of that kicker. You'll need to drop everything here to get over that bump and in position for FAL on the descent. Fail to do this? Write this segment off and just make sure you stay connected to the front. Power up strategy. Featherweight. Drop this and your watt bombs at the start of that bump at 12.9k's. It should carry you perfectly to the top. Keep the power on through the downhill. Anvil. Finally, a sprint segment that you can use the anvil on besides a long descent. Smash the pedals as much as you can on that bump and then hit your 15-second anvil at the 13.2k point just as the road flattens out before the downhill. Go all in. Aero boost. Unlike your mates with the anvil, hit your power up slightly earlier at the 13.1k mark as you finish that bump. Ramp up the power as you come over the top and keep going. Your aero should run out well before the banner, but its job will have been done, giving you maximum speed through this sprint segment. New York forward KOM. Distance 1.3 kilometers, average gradient 6.4%. Use every trick at your disposal to stay with the front as best you can. Even if you begin to lose touch towards the end of the segment, keep pushing over the top. You might be able to catch on again on the descent. This is really 3 short segments. with a flat spot 250 meters into the climb and another roughly 800 meters into the climb. However, it's at the start of the 400 meter false flat, so keep your cadence high. Time your efforts and recover at those points before pushing for the finish. If you are struggling on the sharp bits, drop a gear or two, get out of the saddle and allow your body weight to fall onto the pedals. It can be enough to get you over the top. Power up strategy. Hopefully you had the feather coming into this segment. I would hold on to this for that last pinch before the banner. You'll pick up a bit of speed through the false flap and the feather might be enough to keep you on the front or to bridge back if you're getting dropped. Using it before then might help, but it would be akin to placing a band-aid on a broken leg. However, if you are drowning, grab anything you can. As for the aero, there really isn't a good spot to hit this that will make much difference. Like the feather, leave it until the top and hit it before the banner. The extra speed will help on the flat part of that road. Got the anvil? Sucks to be you. New York Sprint Reverse. Distance 220 meters, average grade, flat. On any other day, this sprint would be a no-brainer, but after a KOM, this is going to be difficult. Thankfully, it is short. However, with foul still the goal here for the front group, expect the lead-in speed after the KOM to remain high. Look to get into position as you exit the sky bridge and turn right. The sprint beacon is only 200 meters from that right-hand turn, so plant yourself squarely in third or fourth wheel and drop the hammer, and don't let up until the arch. However, for those sprinters that were dropped on the climb, this is going to be a different story. Sure, there are some foul points still on the table, but I suspect many of you will be looking to supplement your somewhat empty points bag with FTS as well. Timing FTS and FAL at the same time is going to be a legendary task, but this is how I think it could be done. If you find yourself in a group, you'll want to use their draft as much as possible, so stay on the back of your group as you descend the New York KOM. Power up strategy. If you have the anvil, hit this towards the end of the descent and pick up speed and smash it as you hit that right-hander. It's a longer effort, but the extra speed you'll bring into this will help. If you have the feather, jump on the back of those firing their anvil and hit your power up just after you pass the beacon. The road tilts up towards the end of the sprint and the feather will help here. If you have the aero, you too should also jump on the anvil train and fire yours as you pass the Tron horses on the left. Go full tilt and hope everyone else's legs are jelly. Okay teams, now's your chance to flex your climbing prowess. With that first climb so close to the start, I expect the lighter weight riders and your monster all-rounders to be the ones on the front over the top. You're looking at between 3 to 4.5 minutes for that climb. Captains, ensure you have at least one of your team in that front group after the KOM so that they can pick up as many foul points through the sprint segment as well. The second climb is overall shorter, even though the segment is longer. So again, the goal would be to have a team member or two in that front group for maximum FAL coverage. For those sprinters and diesels who have been dropped, don't despair. There are lots of good FAL points to be found. Group up on the descents and focus on the New York sprint at the 12.9k mark. Sure, there are only a maximum of 10 FTS points on offer for this, but they are better in your team's pocket than someone else's. As for the second KOM, work together with those around you. It's going to take between 3.5 to 5 minutes to tick that one off. Do my trick of standing up for a count of 8 pedal strokes and then sit down for 8 or 16 and then stand up again. Let the weight of your legs fall onto the pedals and you'll be over the top before you know it. Bike and wheel choices. As in my past recons, I'll provide both stage 0 and stage 5 bike choices. You should be leaning towards more lightweight or all-rounders for this race. Stage 0 bikes. I'd go with the S-Works Tarmac SL8, the S-Works Atheus, or the Cannondale Super 6 Lab 71. As for upgraded stage 5 bikes, the S-Works Atheus by a long way, Bridgestone Anchor, or the Trek Emondo. Special mention, the Tron. You probably won't go wrong with this one either. As for wheels, I'm leaning towards lighter weight sets that still have some aero advantage. Try the Zip 353 NSWs at level 24, the Cadex 42 at level 17, or the Mavic Cosmic Ultimate USTs at level 6. So if you do have the fully upgraded S-Works Atheus and combine that with the Zip 353s, you've got yourself a race winner. Workout recommendations. For this week's workout recommendations, take a look at Emily's short mix. Duration, 45 minutes. Focus, short punchy VO2 intervals with incomplete recovery. Why it works? This session hits you with a variety of efforts ranging from 15 seconds up to 3 minutes, around 120 to 130% FTP. It mimics the constant rhythm changes of the New York KOMs, steep ramps, false flats, and the surges. And number 2, the Gorby. Duration, 60 minutes. Focus, VO2 max, and threshold tolerance. Why it's perfect? This is the gold standard for preparing for Zwift KOM climbs. Each 5-minute interval mirrors the length and intensity of the New York KOM segments. It teaches you to maintain power deep into the red and then recover just enough to go again. So there you are, Zwifters, a ZRL race like no other so far in this season. Work as a team, but prepare yourself for some solo efforts. Whilst the KOMs are unforgiving, they will reward the brave who are prepared to go all in. Good luck out there, and remember, at the end of the day, we're all just racing in a made-up world on virtual bikes in our garages, sheds, apartments, and spare rooms. So have a bit of fun. Hit like, subscribe, and let me know what your strategy this week is.